People that are subscribed to Xbox Game Pass probably know it as the best value in gaming because of the day one launches. That's at least how it works for me. That's why I am still subscribed to the service. But with everything coming out in 2024, what games should we play? This year, I personally am kind of just riding the Game Pass train, so I want to put out there, what are 20 amazing games on Game Pass that, people should maybe keep their eye on, especially number 14, which could be a Game of the Year contender. But let's start with the obvious two, with the first one being Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Just get it out of the way. Indiana Jones. Potentially the most anticipated game just from Xbox first party period this year. It just straight up feels like an Indiana Jones movie that you are playing in the guy's prime, developed by the people that did, how am I forgetting? The Wolfenstein games. But this just looks like it was made by people that are fans of Indiana Jones, that were really into it. Todd Howard, being a producer for it. The score, the music, it just sounds like it. This is gonna be a very fun, maybe one-time venture to take. So we have to make room for number 2, which is the other obvious one that some might have actually forgot about, Hollow Knight Silksong. Every single Nintendo indie world, you just constantly see, is Silksong gonna be here? Is Silksong gonna be here? It is the most anticipated indie game I have seen in a long time, probably for its just very well-crafted lore and art and combat. It is just the first game just hit people so hard. And to think that the second one by Team Cherry is gonna launch day one on Game Pass still blows my mind. But we don't have an exact release date for those two games. So what are things that are actually coming up very immediately, literally as I post this, days from now? Well, on March 19th, we got 2 games, with the first one, Lightyear Frontier. It's going in early access on Xbox Game Pass day one, which I forgot to say, every game on this list should be launching on Xbox consoles. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, everything on this list is both console and PC day ones, I believe. Fact check me in the comments. But yeah, Lightyear Frontier just looks like a good time if you're into the farm sim games. But the neat thing about this is that you're using mechs to do it. And off on the side, you kind of can explore the planet and figure out some kind of mystery there. And this just seems like a good vibe of a game. But if you're a sports person and want to play something from PlayStation Studios, which is really shocking, then there's MLB The Show. While I'm not a sports guy, I want to admit it's still a crazy thing to see this having launched their games on Game Pass for 3 years in a row now. It's wild. And if you want a great baseball game, MLB The Show is arguably the best. But if you're like me, you're not too into sports games and you maybe want a good narrative here and there, and I'm guessing this is going to be a nice story-driven quickie indie, Open Roads. Open Roads is an indie adventure story, single player, that has some really talented cast behind the voices and just has to do with a mother and daughter exploring their kind of just family history and maybe something that they can uncover, as well as diving into certain memories that they don't want to. And it just seems like a good, just artsy story game to go through. And all 3 of the games I just mentioned are March releases, but there are quite a handful of things in 2024 we don't know the exact release dates. What we do know is that they are launching day one on Game Pass on console and PC, which is fantastic. Unlike Ereban Shadow Legacy, I was going to put that on this list, guys. I'm really looking forward to that game, and I'm sad that it's not coming out on Game Pass day one anymore. What is happening, though, is Capcom giving us another multiplayer experiment of theirs with, I need to read this, Kinutsugami Path of the Goddess. And the thing is, when I first saw this game, it seemed like, okay, Japanese art style, fighting spirits. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but in the recent partner preview, we got a bit more idea of it, and it is a strategic action game. And if you've been watching me for a while, I'm a Pikmin fan. I love the day-night cycle. Let's get everything we can done in a day to be efficient. And that's what this game apparently deals with. You save people around and cleanse certain shrines and make as much as you can kind of good during the day, because at nighttime you're gonna have to ward off a bunch of demons. And I just think that's a really cool strategic action idea for a game. But if you want a super fancy graphic game and are a survival game person, Ark 2, that is supposedly still happening this year. It got delayed from last year and it's supposed to be releasing in late 2024, but Vin Diesel supposedly being the main character, and Ark is known as just one of the just a really big hit in the survival scene, which has many people. So if you're into survival games, Ark 2 happening later this year. Survive amongst dinosaurs, use future technology. Just what a blend. That isn't Horizon Forbidden West or Zero Dawn. But 2 games lowering that scale a little bit with smaller teams. One comes from the Ukraine area, Replaced. This is one of the most artistically satisfying looking games I've seen in a while with the 2.5 HD pixel art style. You're playing as this AI that's trapped in a human body that's in like an alternate 80s setting, sci-fi. It just seems like such a neat playthrough. Like, I would imagine this is one of those games that you're gonna play through, remember, and maybe play through it a couple times just to like, all right, I'm really stoked for this one, but that's a single player experience. You want something cooperative to play, a multiplayer, 33 Immortals. This was shown as a co-op game that's a roguelike that you are with just a 33 co-op party. And you're just damn souls going against God's judgment. And I just wonder how the heck that's going to work. How is a roguelike with a party that big that you're all potentially trying to get to the middle? I'm so curious how this game's going to work, and it just seems like a really promising idea, and I'm so glad it's launching day 1 on Game Pass this year. Which, by the way, in case you couldn't figure it out, not every single Game Pass game is going to be on this list. It's just a lot of the ones I think you should maybe remember, and number 18 is a very recent entry that really shocks me that we got. But if you want to talk about some stuff Xbox is up to and keep speculating on games, then make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 40K. That'd be great if we could reach that. You could be a part of it. Like speculating about how there is 100 team members in this next game. Number 10, Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is like a JRPG classic looking style game. Again, in that 2.5 pixel art sort of. And it's just wild. You're going on this adventure and you actually get like 100 different party members in this game you could cycle around through, which is such a crazy concept, kind of like 33 Immortals. So I really want to shout out those 2 games as just something you could kind of innovatively try out, and I believe this is coming out in April as well. But easily one of my most anticipated games of the year, probably top 5 on this list, is Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. This game finally has a release date, and I'm really rooting for the team that did this, because just everything that they are dealing with the Ukraine situation. But this is an immersive sim first-person shooter that's going to have some horror elements. The world literally changes based off the actions you do as a character, so it's gonna adapt to what you do in this story that is not linear in any way. That's a really interesting concept for a game, plus it's supposed to be like a graphical showcase. I'm really excited for this one, man. But curveball here, number 12, Age of Mythology Retold. This is a game that's supposed to come out this year from World's Edge, another first party Xbox studio. And look, I'm actually surprised because I see this is an Age game that's going to launch not only day 1 on Game Pass, but it's on Xbox and PC simultaneously. That's really cool to see the Age team finally doing that, because their last couple games didn't do that. So just want to shout that out. If you're a strategy person, Age of Empire games, they're there for you. And Age of Empires 4 I thought was cool. And Mythology, it's going to be interesting to incorporate all these spirits, titans, and so on. Just literal mythology. So it's going to be something to keep your eye on if you're a real-time strategy person. But if you're not, and like more of a technical Marvel piece, 2 games on this list, hands down, that are the most that are going to be the most like graphically impressive, is 2 more first-party games from Xbox. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is an experience. I've always told people that. It is an experience to fly all around this world in such amazing detail, as long as you're in the skies. Don't fly close to the city or anything. But it's just such a technical marvel to behold how they did this game. And now this is one that they are addressing, to me, the biggest problem, with just not enough to necessarily do. But now you could go on all these missions, really. You know, you get to save people with a helicopter. You get to help spread water on farms. You get to visit oil rigs. You get to do certain races. Like, there's all these purposeful flights now, which really adds meaning to everything instead of just flying around locations. That was great in the first game, but now there's purpose. But you know, number 14, man, this is my most anticipated game of the year. That is Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. Look, if you just want a quick and we now know this is going to be about the same size as the first game, just like maybe 6 to 15 hour experience, somewhere around 10 hours, that is going to hopefully really immerse you in a mental tale of Senua, who deals with hearing these voices and having actual other characters just go around. The first game, it was totally focused on her dealing with this voice situation she has. But now in this game, there's other characters. And this studio going from like an indie one to having such big scale with these motion capture studios and having a cast and much more combat training. This is going to be a game that has just been the start of the series generation. The first game was revealed for it, and we are finally getting it in May this year. I'm taking the day off for it, man. Could probably just play in the day, honestly, now that I think about it. But maybe you're somebody that appreciates the nice indie here and there, and these next 3 are gonna be for you. Because number 15 is like a literal stop-motion artsy film with Harold Halibut. I seriously can't believe the visuals of this. It looks so aesthetically pleasing, and I really can't believe it's a game. Not because of how graphically great it is, but it's this style that I've never seen done before, where you are escorting this talking fish, I guess, around this kind of underwater ship place that you're just uncovering this narrative that literally just seems like a stop motion film. It's wild. Launching day 1 on Game Pass, but maybe you don't care about the artsy stuff and you just want something lighthearted. That's where number 16 comes in with Little Kitty, Big City. Look, lighthearted stuff is fun. You know, if you like, what was it called? Goose Game or something? Untitled Goose Game, that's what it was. I don't believe you're going to be playing as a dick in this one like that, but you are playing as a cat, which kind of always has its own mission. There is a goal that you have, someplace you're trying to be, but as a cat, you know, you're probably going to get distracted by certain things, and you get to talk with certain other characters. And this is just a lighthearted adventure that, yes, you could get it on the Switch for however many dollars, but it's a nice little lighthearted indie that you get to play with Game Pass day 1. But another colorful game that is a Souls-like is Another Crab's Treasure, which I've seen this one for a while, ever since I first saw it. It didn't necessarily appeal to me, but once I saw it was a Game Pass day 1, I'm like, okay, you have my attention. And I've recently really enjoyed the Souls-like experiences between Lies of P and Elden Ring, and this looks like just a different take on it. And if you're not into the challenge, don't worry. There's apparently adjustable difficulties on this, a lot of adjustable challenges to really make this feel like this is a colorful, lighthearted Souls-like game where you are playing as this crab trying to get their actual shell back. But in the meantime, you're going to have to grab all this various trash that you find under the sea and use it until you get to where you're trying to go. Like, I'm very curious how the trash thing integrates in terms of like the mechanics of the game. And earlier I said number 18 is something that kind of blows my mind. It's not exactly a full game, but I think it totally counts if you're an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate member, because this is one hell of a perk. Persona 3 Reload, Episode Aegis. Now, this is a DLC, this is an episode, this is an expansion, but hold the phone. The amount of content that's in the base Persona 3 Reload game that you maybe have already played, or not, if you haven't, that came out this year, so that's 21 for you. I would imagine this is going to be the longer than most of the games on this list, because Persona is long, and it is a great turn-based combat game. If you want turn-based combat, if you want some slice of life elements, if you just want to continue being in this really great, in my opinion, turn-based slice of life JRPG style game, this is going to be plenty of content for you, and I'm really surprised that Sega gave Game Pass Ultimate members, like, gave Xbox this ball of just, here's a $30 DLC, and we're going to give you not only the base game, but we're going to give you this too. And the final 2 games on this list are Xbox first-party things, and believe it or not, I'm actually leaving a first-party thing off of this list. Let's see if you can try to figure out which one it is. But what did make it on as number 19 is Avowed. This is coming from Obsidian, who I would say is kind of the golden boy for Xbox Game Studios right now. They have had such a consistent track record of release after release after release of well-reviewed games, and this is their newest big RPG entry, where you get to be in the medieval fantasy-style adventure. You can have very customizable combat where you could have dual-wielding wands if you want, or dual-wielding swords. I'm a dual-wielding swords guy. And the classic Obsidian dialogue, which seems to have a really well-written tone to it, making choices that are going to impact what happens in this particular storyline and how people treat you in certain locations. You want the RPG experience in a fantasy medieval setting. Avowed's going to be that for you. But if you want more of a combat RPG, then Towerborn is going to be for you. If you want to play some with your friends where you kind of go around on each of these missions fighting these monsters, and you get this spirit that can kind of work with you as you sort of Monster Hunter like grind for gear and try to bring things back to your village to forge. And this is a game that's going to keep getting seasonal updates too, so it's going to keep expanding if you want more to do in it. And it just seems like it could be a good time to kind of just grind for gear with friends while you're not playing Diablo 4, because that's like about to hit Game Pass. But it's not on this list because it's not a new game, you know, it's on a day one release. There's like so many games that I didn't mention here, including things like in the works, Blade, Kojima's next project, Fable. Some point soon here, I want to do a video about like what the next ID Software game is and what the heck is happening with Gears of War. So make sure you subscribe for that and more speculation about what's going on with Xbox and just video games in general. Don't forget to be Geek Proud Awesome, and let me know, what are you looking forward to most this year on Xbox Game Pass?